The present is a gift, and we must take advantage of it to build a fuller, more joyful life. When you focus on the now, you will find that, even in the midst of difficulties, life has a lot to offer. Joy is not in waiting for something that has not yet arrived, but in being aware of what is in front of you, in enjoying who you are, what you do, and what you share in every moment. The importance of self-care to cultivate joy. Self-care is one of the fundamental pillars for maintaining a life full of joy. We often tend to think that happiness is related to external achievements or what others think of us. However, the foundation of true joy begins with self-care, both physically and emotionally. The way we treat ourselves directly impacts our ability to be happy and maintain a positive attitude toward life. Physical self-care, caring for the body to care for the mind. Our body is the vehicle through which we experience life. If we don't take care of it, we not only affect our physical health, but also our emotional well-being. Physical self-care isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, and maintaining a basic hygiene routine are essential to staying energized and therefore happier. It's easy to fall into the trap of neglecting ourselves when we're busy with work, responsibilities, and worries. But when we don't pay attention to our physical needs, exhaustion and stress begin to accumulate, which in the long run can sap our joy. The body and mind are deeply connected. When one suffers, so does the other. Taking care of ourselves physically not only keeps us healthy, but also improves our ability to handle life's emotional challenges. Exercising, even just walking for 20 minutes a day, can have a huge impact on our mood. Exercise releases endorphins, the happiness hormones, which make us feel more positive and less stressed. Eating nutritious foods also influences our energy and emotional stability. When we feel good physically, we are much better prepared to face daily challenges with a positive attitude. Emotional self-care, taking care of our mind and heart. Emotional self-care is just as important as physical self-care. Our emotional health is directly linked to our ability to enjoy life and be happy. If we don't take time to process our emotions, take care of ourselves mentally, and manage our tensions, anxiety, sadness, and stress can accumulate and rob us of joy. Taking time to relax, disconnect from daily pressures, and enjoy activities that recharge us emotionally is essential to staying balanced. This can include reading, meditating, practicing mindfulness, journaling, or simply spending time in nature. It's also essential to learn to say no when something isn't right for us or is draining us emotionally. Sometimes, the best self-care is learning to set boundaries. It's also important to surround ourselves with people who support us emotionally, who make us feel heard and understood. Healthy relationships are an essential component of self-care. The interactions we have with others can either fuel our joy or drain it, so it's crucial to surround ourselves with those who make us feel good. The connection between self-care and joy. Self-care shouldn't be seen as selfish, but as an investment in our happiness. When we take care of ourselves holistically, both physically and emotionally, we feel more balanced, more resilient, and better able to enjoy life's small pleasures. Joy isn't something that comes from outside. It's born from how we treat ourselves. When we feel good, both inside and out, our ability to enjoy the moment increases. We are more aware of what we have, more grateful for who we are and what we have achieved, and more able to be kind to ourselves when things don't go as expected. Self-care is an act of self-love. At its core, self-care is an act of self-love. It's recognizing that we are worthy of being cared for, of being treated with kindness and respect. Often, we forget this truth because we're so busy caring for others or fulfilling our responsibilities that we forget the importance of caring for ourselves. However, when we make the space to care for ourselves, we not only improve our own lives, but we are also better able to care for and support others. Look, there's an idea I love to repeat. Joy isn't a stroke of luck. It's not something you're born with or something that just falls from the sky one day. It's a habit. It's something you train every day. We live in a society where we've been sold the idea that joy is something external, that depends on circumstances, on what happens to us. But that's not the case. Joy is a decision, and like any decision, it must be reinforced with constant practice. If you want to stay fit, you have to exercise. If you want to learn a language, you have to practice. And if you want to be a happy person, you have to practice it every day. Because you know what happens? If you don't practice joy, life drags you down. Negativity is everywhere. In the news, on social media, in the comments of people who only complain. If you don't have a proactive attitude toward practicing joy, pessimism creeps into your head without you even realizing it. How do you practice joy? I'm going to give you some keys because this is like going to gym. There are exercises at work, and if you practice them, they will change your life. 1. Gratitude, the fastest shortcut to joy. One of the best exercises for practicing joy is gratitude. Because when you're grateful, you realize what you have instead of complaining about what you're missing. Try it. Every morning, before starting the day, think of 3 things you can be thankful for. They don't have to be big things. They can be small. I slept well today. I have a hot cup of coffee waiting for me. My son gave me a hug. When you train your brain to focus on the good, little by little you begin to see life through different eyes. 2. Take care of your surroundings. Joy is contagious, and so is negativity. Tell me who you spend time with, and I'll tell you how you feel. If you surround yourself with people who always complain, who see problems in everything, who criticize and play the victim, it's very difficult to maintain your joy. Look for people who contribute, who inspire you, who make you laugh. People who, even if they have problems, face them with enthusiasm, with energy, because joy is contagious, just like bitterness. Choose wisely who you spend your time with. 3. Smile more, the simplest gesture with the greatest impact. This is a very easy exercise. Smile more. Yes, even if you don't feel like it, even if the day isn't the best. Smiling is an incredibly powerful tool because when you smile, you trick your brain. It's scientifically proven that the simple act of smiling generates endorphins, which are the happiness hormones. Plus, when you smile, you change the way others treat you. And when others treat you better, you feel better. It's a domino effect. So try this. Today, when you walk down the street, smile more. See what happens. 4. Learn to laugh at yourself. There's nothing more liberating than a sense of humor. Taking life too seriously is a mistake. We all make mistakes. We all make fools of ourselves from time to time. We all have disastrous days. And you know what? It's okay. Laugh at yourself. People who laugh at themselves live with less stress, take life more lightly, and above all, enjoy it more. Not everything is so serious. 5. Filter the information you consume. We live surrounded by negative information. The news is full of problems. Social media compares us to perfect lives that don't exist. WhatsApp groups are full of complaints. If everything you consume is negative, your mind fills with negativity. So filter what you consume. It's not about living in a bubble, but about balancing the scales. Listen to things that inspire you. Read books that motivate you. Follow people who bring you value. Fill your head with good things, and you'll see how your mood changes. Happiness isn't magic. It's practical. If you wait for joy to come on its own, you're lost. Joy can be worked on. And if you start practicing it every day, little by little you'll realize that you live with more energy, that you enjoy the simple things more, that you face problems more calmly. Because, in the end, life isn't what happens to you, but how you choose to live it. And joy, my friend, is something you can train for. Happiness doesn't depend on what you have, but on how you live it. Look, one of the biggest mistakes we make is believing that happiness depends on what we have. That if we get more money, a better job, the ideal partner, the house of our dreams, then we will be happy. But that's a lie. If happiness depended on what we have, then all rich people would be happy. All professionally successful people would live with enthusiasm. And we know that's not the case. There are people who have everything and are unhappy, and there are people with very little who live with a permanent smile. Joy isn't in what you have, but in how you live it. It's not about how much you have, but how you enjoy what you have. The when I have this, I'll be happy trap. We spend our lives thinking that happiness lies in the future. When I have more money, I'll be happy. When I find a partner, I'll be happy. When I have that car, that promotion, that trip, I'll be happy. And so we go, postponing joy for a moment that never comes. Because when you get what you want so much, what happens? Happiness lasts 5 minutes, and then another desire appears, and then another, and another. Is an infinite loop. If you base your joy on what you have or what you lack, you will never be fully happy. There will always be something else that makes you think it's not enough yet. The power of enjoying the present. The true key to joy is enjoying what you already have. Because if you don't do it now, you won't do it when you have more. Try an experiment. Think about everything you have today that, at some point in your life, you want it with all your might. Perhaps in the past you dreamed of having the job you have today, of living in the house you live in today, of having the family you have today. And now that you have it, you take it for granted. The problem isn't what we lack, but that we get used too quickly to what we have. If you learn to enjoy the present, to value what you have right now, then joy becomes a daily habit, not a future destination. And that's where the real magic lies. Exercise is to train this mindset. It's not enough to understand it. You have to practice it. Here are some exercises to live with more joy today, not tomorrow. Make a list of what you already have and what you once wanted. This helps you realize how lucky you are. Pay attention to small daily pleasures. Your morning coffee, a hug from a friend, a cool breeze on your face. Learn to enjoy the simple things. Stop comparing yourself. There will always be someone with more money, more success, more followers on social media. If you compare your life to others, you will always lose. Compare yourself only with yourself. Enjoy the journey, not just the goal. If you only think about getting there, you miss out on all the good things in the process. Learn to enjoy every step. Choose to enjoy now. Don't place your joy in what you don't have yet. Because if you do, you'll spend your life waiting. Joy isn't the destination, it's in the journey. And that journey is now, in this moment. So the question is, what are you going to do today to enjoy more of what you already have? Attitude is everything. We can't control what happens, but we can control how we react. Life is full of unexpected events, problems, and difficulties. We can't control what happens to us, but we can choose how we react to them. Think about it. There are people who, faced with the same difficult situation, sink, become bitter, and complain about how unfair it all is. Others, on the other hand, face the same difficulty with fortitude, seek solutions, and move forward with a smile. The difference is not the problem, but the attitude with which you face it. Attitude is what determines whether you live with joy or bitterness, whether you face life with enthusiasm or resignation. And the best part is that attitude is a choice. It doesn't depend on the circumstances, but on how we choose to view them. The trap of constant complaining. Many people live trapped in complaints. They complain about traffic, the weather, the government, their boss, their family, their friends, or the noisy neighbor. They complain out of habit, almost without realizing it. But complaining doesn't solve anything. It doesn't change the situation or improve their mood. All it does is generate more frustration and turn us into negative people. Every time we find ourselves complaining about something, we should stop for a moment and ask ourselves, can I do anything to change this? If the answer is yes, then we need to take action. If the answer is no, the best option is to accept it and move on. Complaining for the sake of it gets us nowhere. It only saps our energy and joy. The key is focus. Happy people aren't those for whom everything is going well. They're those who, despite problems, choose to focus on the positive. Imagine you have a white sheet of paper with a small black dot in the center. If I ask you what you see, you'll probably say you see a black dot, but the leaf is huge and white. The same thing happens in life. If we only focus on the negative, our reality is filled with frustration. But if we train our minds to see the good, even in the midst of difficulties, joy will always be present. Exercise is to change your attitude. A good exercise is to do a complaint detox. For an entire day, forbid yourself from complaining. If you find yourself doing so, find a solution or accept the situation. Over time, you'll notice how your mindset changes. Another powerful habit is to look for the good in every situation. Every night before going to sleep, think of something positive that happened during the day, no matter how small. This helps train your mind to focus on the positive. It's also important to surround yourself with people with a good attitude. Joy and negativity are contagious. Spending more time with positive people helps maintain a more optimistic mindset. Finally, we must remember that we are not victims of circumstances. We can choose how to react to what happens to us. And that choice makes a difference between a life full of complaints and a life lived with enthusiasm. Attitude is the difference between a bitter life and a joyful one. Because in the end, it's not about what happens to us, but how we interpret it and how we decide to face it. And that, always, is in our hands. Joy is built with daily habits. Joy is not a matter of luck or chance. It's not something that suddenly comes to us one day and makes us happy forever. Joy, like any other skill in life, is trained, worked on, and built with daily habits. We often believe that happiness is something that depends on big events, a promotion, a dream trip, finding the love of our life. But the reality is that joy is cultivated in the everyday, in those little details that we repeat every day almost without realizing it. If we want to live with more enthusiasm, we need to develop habits that help us maintain that positive energy in our lives. Small gestures that make a difference. Imagine that every day you have a reservoir of emotional energy. Some things recharge it and others drain it. If you spend the day surrounded by negative news, complaining, compare yourself to others, or paying attention only to your problems, your reservoir quickly empties. But if you introduce habits that fill you with positive energy, if you do things that make you feel good and connect you with what truly matters, then your mood changes completely. The key is to build a routine that, little by little, strengthens your joy. Habits to train joy. Start the day with a positive mindset. The first thing we do in the morning sets the tone for the day. Instead of starting with your phone checking bad news or pending work, take a moment to do something that makes you feel good. Listening to music, reading something inspiring, exercising, or simply being thankful for a new day. Take care of your thoughts. What you think directly influences how you feel. If you tell yourself all day long that life is difficult, that everything is a disaster, and that nothing has a solution, you will feel exhausted. On the other hand, if you train your mind to focus on the positive, little by little you will change your way of seeing life. Surround yourself with people who contribute. Happiness is contagious, but so is negativity. Observe who you spend the most time with and how they influence your mood. Seek to surround yourself with people who inspire you, motivate you, and make you feel good. Learn to let go of what you can't control. There are things in life that are beyond our control. Traffic, the weather, other people's decisions. Instead of wearing yourself out worrying about what you can't change, Focus on what is within your control. Do something you enjoy every day. Don't let routine absorb you. Set aside time to do something that truly makes you feel good, even if it's just for a few minutes. Reading, walking, listening to music, cooking something delicious. Those small moments of daily enjoyment make a big difference. Practice gratitude. Every day, there is something we can be grateful for. It can be something big or something small. A message from a friend, a delicious meal, a moment of peace. Recognizing the good things we have helps us value our lives more. Building joy is a process, not a destination. Joy is not a goal we suddenly reach. It is a result of how we live each day, the habits we repeat, and the choices we make. If we want to live with more enthusiasm, we need to train our minds and our actions so that each day brings us a little closer to that positive energy we all seek. Because in the end, happiness is not about waiting for great moments, but about learning to enjoy each day with what we have. And that, without a doubt, is in our hands. The impact of our environment on joy. Our joy is not something that works in isolation. We are not islands. We do not live disconnected from the world. Everything around us, from the people we interact with to the spaces where we spend our time, directly influences our mood. Therefore, if we want to live with more joy, we need to be very aware of our surroundings and make decisions that help us create an environment that adds to, rather than subtracts from, our lives, the people around us. We've all surely met people who seem to have a special talent for draining our energy. They're the ones who complain about everything, who see problems at every opportunity, and who always have a negative story to tell. Spending too much time around them drains us emotionally, infects us with their pessimism, and makes it harder to maintain a positive attitude. On the other hand, there are people who inspire, who spread enthusiasm, who push us to be better. They're the ones who, no matter the difficulties, always find a reason to keep going with a smile. If we want to build a life with more joy, we need to surround ourselves with these kinds of people. It's not about drastically cutting ties, but rather being aware of what kind of company is good for us and trying to spend more time with those who add value to us. A good exercise is to ask ourselves after each encounter with someone, has this person left me with more or less energy? If the answer is that they've left us exhausted or demotivated, perhaps it's time to rethink how much time we dedicate to that relationship, the space in which we live and work. Our physical environment also influences our mood. A cluttered, chaotic, or gloomy space can make us feel dull, lacking energy, and lacking desire to do anything. On the other hand, a clean, organized environment with elements that inspire well-being helps us feel better. You don't need to make huge changes. Sometimes, small details make a difference. A plant, a painting we like, good lighting, a little music. All of this contributes to creating an environment that fosters our happiness. The same goes for the workplace. If we spend 8 hours a day in a space that feels uncomfortable, cold, or full of tension, it's understandable that our energy will suffer. We can't always change jobs, but we can find ways to make our space more pleasant. Something as simple as personalizing our desk, finding time to rest, or having pleasant conversations with colleagues can make the day more bearable. The information we consume. We live in a time when we are exposed to an enormous amount of information, and much of it is negative. Alarming news, arguments on social media, pessimistic messages. If we're not careful, we can end up filling our minds with unnecessary worries and fears. It's not about ignoring reality, but rather about making wise choices about what we consume. We can stay informed without spending hours watching negative news. We can follow people on social media who inspire us, instead of accounts that only spread criticism and conflict. A good habit is to ask ourselves, is what I'm watching, listening to, or reading bringing me something positive? If the answer is no, maybe it's time to adjust our information diet. Take control of our environment. We can't always choose everything around us, but we can make choices that help us create an environment that fosters joy. We can choose to surround ourselves with people who inspire us. We can make small changes in our space to feel better. We can be careful about the information we consume and avoid filling ourselves with unnecessary negativity. In the end, our joy depends not only on what we carry inside, but also on what surrounds us. And although we can't control everything around us, we can do our best to make it support us rather than hold us back. The importance of living in the present to cultivate joy. Joy is largely found in the here and now. The natural tendency of many people is to spend too much time worrying about the future or regretting the past. We get caught up in what might happen, what hasn't happened yet, or what has already happened and we can't change. And meanwhile, the present, which is the only real moment we have, slips through our fingers. The key to living with more joy is learning to focus on the present. The past is over. The future is uncertain, and only the present belongs to us. If we want to be happier, we need to learn to enjoy and take advantage of the moment we are living now with all it offers. The power of the present moment. The present is the only moment in which we have real control. The past is already done, and the future doesn't yet exist. Constantly living with our minds caught up in what was or what could be is a mistake that deprives us of the only thing we can truly experience, the now. Imagine spending your day thinking about everything you have to do tomorrow, the worries you haven't yet resolved, or the opportunities you missed yesterday. At the end of the day, you'll have lived for hours and hours without truly enjoying what's happening around you. You'll have missed the here and now. Happiness, true joy, is only found in the present. When we are fully engaged in what we are doing, when we focus on the moment we are living, our mind and body align, and that's when joy appears naturally. The trap of living in the past. The past is something many people carry around constantly. Bad experiences, defeats, losses, wrong decisions. All of these are etched in our minds. And although the past is valuable because it teaches us lessons, constantly dwelling on it drags us into sadness, regret, and guilt. Instead of learning from our mistakes and moving forward, we sometimes get stuck in the melancholy of what we can no longer change. It's like walking backward. No matter how hard you try to move forward, you fall, you stumble, you lose your way. The future, the source of anxiety. On the other hand, the future is a constant source of anxiety for many people. We worry about what hasn't yet arrived, what might happen, and what we fear might go wrong. Living in fear of what might happen paralyzes us and prevents us from enjoying what we already have. Anxiety about the future can consume us to such an extent that we forget to live fully in the present. If we're constantly anticipating the worst, we can't enjoy the small things that happen in our daily lives. It's as if we're living with an unnecessary burden, as if our mind is always somewhere else, waiting for the future to arrive so we can face it, while the present eludes us. But the future, like the past, is not under our control. The only way to prepare for a good future is to take advantage of the present, do the best we can now, and trust that the future will unfold as it should. How to focus on the present. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in what we are doing without distractions or judgment. This means savoring every moment, whether you're eating, walking, or talking to someone. Don't let your mind wander elsewhere. Enjoy what is happening right now. Do one thing at a time. We live in a world that values multitasking, but doing many things at once often prevents us from fully enjoying what we are doing. If you are working, focus only on that work. If you are in a conversation, focus only on that person and what they're saying. By focusing on one task, you will find it more enjoyable. Enjoy the little things. Instead of waiting for big events to be happy, learn to enjoy the little everyday things. A cup of coffee in the morning, a walk in the park, a pleasant conversation with a friend. Each of these moments has a potential to bring us joy if we allow ourselves to experience them fully. Do a mental reset. When you feel overwhelmed by worries about the past or the future, pause and breathe deeply. You can do a short meditation, or simply stop to observe your surroundings. This will help you reconnect with the present and reduce anxiety. The present is a gift. Every moment we live is an opportunity to be happy. If we waste it thinking about what has already happened or anticipating what might happen, we will never live fully. The present is a gift, and we must take advantage of it to build a fuller, more joyful life. When you focus on the now, you will find that, even in the midst of difficulties, life has a lot to offer. Joy is not in waiting for something that has not yet arrived, but in being aware of what is in front of you, in enjoying who you are, what you do, and what you share in every moment. The importance of self-care to cultivate joy. Self-care is one of the fundamental pillars for maintaining a life full of joy. We often tend to think that happiness is related to external achievements or what others think of us. However, the foundation of true joy begins with self-care, both physically and emotionally. The way we treat ourselves directly impacts our ability to be happy and maintain a positive attitude toward life. Physical self-care, caring for the body to care for the mind. Our body is the vehicle through which we experience life. If we don't take care of it, we not only affect our physical health, but also our emotional well-being. Physical self-care isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, and maintaining a basic hygiene routine are essential to staying energized and, therefore, happier. It's easy to fall into the trap of neglecting ourselves when we're busy with work, responsibilities, and worries. But when we don't pay attention to our physical needs, exhaustion and stress begin to accumulate, which in the long run can sap our joy. The body and mind are deeply connected. When one suffers, so does the other. Taking care of ourselves physically not only keeps us healthy, but also improves our ability to handle life's emotional challenges. Exercising, even just walking for 20 minutes a day, can have a huge impact on our mood. Exercise releases endorphins, the happiness hormones, which make us feel more positive and less stressed. Eating nutritious foods also influences our energy and emotional stability. When we feel good physically, we are much better prepared to face daily challenges with a positive attitude. Emotional self-care, taking care of our mind and heart. Emotional self-care is just as important as physical self-care. Our emotional health is directly linked to our ability to enjoy life and be happy. If we don't take time to process our emotions, take care of ourselves mentally, and manage our tensions, anxiety, sadness, and stress can accumulate and rob us of joy. Taking time to relax, disconnect from daily pressures, and enjoy activities that recharge us emotionally is essential to staying balanced. This can include reading, meditating, practicing mindfulness, journaling, or simply spending time in nature. It's also essential to learn to say no when something isn't right for us or is draining us emotionally. Sometimes, the best self-care is learning to set boundaries. It's also important to surround ourselves with people who support us emotionally, who make us feel heard and understood. Healthy relationships are an essential component of self-care. The interactions we have with others can either fuel our joy or drain it, so it's crucial to surround ourselves with those who make us feel good. The connection between self-care and joy. Self-care shouldn't be seen as selfish, but as an investment in our happiness. When we take care of ourselves holistically, both physically and emotionally, we feel more balanced, more resilient, and better able to enjoy life's small pleasures. Joy isn't something that comes from outside. It's born from how we treat ourselves. When we feel good, both inside and out, our ability to enjoy the moment increases. We are more aware of what we have, more grateful for who we are and what we have achieved, and more able to be kind to ourselves when things don't go as expected. Self-care is an act of self-love. At its core, self-care is an act of self-love. It's recognizing that we are worthy of being cared for, of being treated with kindness and respect. Often, we forget this truth because we're so busy caring for others or fulfilling our responsibilities that we forget the importance of caring for ourselves. However, when we make the space to care for ourselves, we not only improve our own lives, but we are also better able to care for and support others.